Hello, everyone, and welcome to United Way. Live United. I'm Terry Westerfield. And joining me today, I have friends in from Family Service of Greater New Orleans. I want to welcome to the program Dave Hanick, who is the Vice President of Programs. Hi, Dave.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. I want to thank you for being here today and have brought with you colleagues, Kazanda Lucas, who is the Functional Family Therapy Program Manager. Hi, Kazanda.
Hello.
Also joining us today, Alex Turnowski, who is the NOLA Dads Program Manager. Hi, Alex.
Hey, how are you?
Also, Patrick Carter, who is the NOLA Dads Group Facilitator.
How you doing?
I'm fine. And last but not least, the lovely Ethel Hill, and she is the Drug Court Program Manager. Welcome, Ethel.
Hi, Terry. Thank you.
For those of you who are listening in today, we know it 'tis the season, and it's supposed to be a time of joy and reflection, for gathering of family and friends, a celebration. For others, this time of year is not so merry and bright. In fact, many may come down with a case of the holiday blues, and that can extend all the way through New Year's and maybe even beyond. Still, others may celebrate too much. And both scenarios can lead to binge drinking, drug use, and other vices, which in turn could lead to abuse and more. And that's why these good folks are here. Family Service of Greater New Orleans has been serving family and community since 1896. Dave, that's amazing to me. One of United Way of Southeast Louisiana's community impact partners or partner agencies, Family Service is a nonprofit organization, and it's dedicated to providing counseling and community education to families in need. And I don't know where this community would be without you. We're here to talk about the holiday season, but I think it's you're kind of the men and women for all seasons. You're here when your community needs you. You've seen us through hurricanes and oil spill and everybody's weathering everybody's storms. They're a little bit different, and it doesn't have to be something that Mom Nature created either.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Terry, for inviting us on the show today. And as you said, the holiday time can be a time for a lot of celebrating, a lot of really good times. But for some people, it can be a little bit more challenging. Maybe over the past year, individuals have dealt with more challenges than others. So sometimes the holidays can lead to feelings of loneliness or sadness and depression. During this time, sometimes Family Service we find ourselves a little bit busier than we may at other times of the year because it reminds people that, maybe I do need to address some of the mental health challenges that I've been experiencing over the past year, or maybe right now they're starting to get a little bit worse because of all of these reminders of family and friends, and also some triggers for how I may not be in the same position I was before. Or maybe I'm no longer with a family member, or someone has passed away over the past year. So.
And that's what I was going to say. It could be a happy memory, but then you become sad because maybe grandma is no longer here, or you've lost your spouse or your significant other. And it is, and all of a sudden you've got all these different emotions just welling up inside.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another challenge that a lot of individuals and families experience is that the holidays look different now than they did before Hurricane Katrina. And I realize that's been 7 years ago. However, it's still very fresh in a lot of our community members' minds. And the holidays do look different. You may be in a different home, a different part of the neighborhood, or maybe this is your first time celebrating the holiday season back here in New Orleans since the storms of that year. So again, it's another reminder of how much has changed, and cause for some celebration, but also time to it can also be a triggering moment for others.
And when you have these triggering moments, I guess just as everyone's crisis is different, you have different ways of coping. For some, you think, well, I'm just going to have that champagne at midnight, or I'm going to do this or that. But then the next thing you know, that one bottle of beer or that one mixed drink becomes another and another and another, and people will say, oh, I'm just socializing. But it can be a real tip-off that there's something much more at work.
Yeah, it definitely can. I think it's so important to be aware of what you're experiencing during the holiday season. If you're experiencing a little bit more stress or feelings that are uncomfortable for you, to be aware of that and acknowledge it and recognize that's normal. And then also recognize if you're drinking a little bit more than you normally would, or maybe engaging in a habit that more so than you normally would at other times of the year. I actually would love to have our drug court program manager talk a little bit about that as she deals with this on a daily basis, and also sees a lot of clients through the program struggle with addiction and sometimes relapse during these sorts of times.
Ethel, please.
Thank you. This is a difficult time for a lot of people who are experiencing a tremendous amount of stress and loneliness and whatever. And these can be triggers for individuals who do have the disease of addiction. A lot of times individuals want to mask the pain. And to do that, they may engage in more drinking or other drugs of choice to cover up that pain that they're experiencing. So it can be a very difficult time for those that are subject to indulging.
And addiction is something, I mean, after all these years, but it is finally recognized by most as a disease, correct?
Yes, disease. Addiction is a disease, and it is treatable. We service people every day and provide treatment services to individuals every day who are struggling with the disease. A lot of times it starts out as just a way to celebrate or just a way to be with your friends and do what they're doing, be accepted by the crowd. And then it eventually turns into the disease of addiction.
Or in some cases, again, the escapism of it all.
Right. Sometimes it does provide just a little while of escape for individuals, but then they have to come back to reality. Once the celebration is over, the reality is still there. The bills are still due. The children still need to be taken care of. The problem that you covered up for a half an hour is still there, and maybe even bigger now.
And that's what the tough part is. We keep hearing about some drugs that we thought were at least primarily gone from the scene. Heroin making a big comeback. Others that are going on here, again, the escalation of younger and younger folks getting involved in both alcohol and drugs.
Exactly. I mean, we're hearing more about teenage drug use now, and even younger kids. I've heard stories from people where they actually started smoking marijuana at age 6.
Ooh.
So it's real. It's happening in our community every day.
How can someone who's maybe listening today, that perhaps they recognize now that, yes, maybe they have a problem, or they know someone, a friend, a family member, a neighbor, how can you get help? How do you get in touch with someone at Family Service to come in and say, can I talk to someone? Because that's the biggest step, right? Just taking that first step.
Right. And the first step would be to just pick up the phone and call our office, call the Family Service office and ask to schedule an appointment with someone. The staff is loaded with people who are competent and able to assist. The first step is to pick up the phone.
And what is that number, Ethel?
The main office number is 822-0800. They can dial into that number and will be greeted by a friendly voice and assisted to schedule an appointment.
And I also want to put in a little plug here for our friends at ViaLink, because if you can't remember the number, folks, you can always call 211. It is the 24/7 information and referral line, and they can direct you to the good folks at Family Service, where you're going to see and talk with Dave or Alex or Cassandra or Patrick or anyone who's there to help the needs that you have. Let's talk a little bit about, again, in some of the other programs that you've got going on. I kind of want to switch over here for just a second. And Cassandra, when you're talking about, here you are, you're the Functional Family Therapy Program Manager. How does that come into play, not just every day, but during this holiday season too?
It's really important for us that we are very close with our families, and because it's so much of an intensive therapy approach, we are very we start from the very beginning in the engagement phase and getting them to trust us and understand that we are available throughout the holidays. It's not just during the work week or during the times where you think, okay, now my family is having a crisis, but that our individual cell phones or individual work phones are always available for our clients. And so we let them know that if you're in a phase where you feel like you're going through something or you're going to go through something, that we are available to talk to you. Call me on Christmas, call me on New Year's, whatever the situation may be, so that I can try to help you get through your situation.
So you're really providing a support system that perhaps they just don't have anywhere else.
Exactly. A lot of our families don't have a lot of their support groups. And as Dave was saying, holidays look a lot different now after Katrina. Some families are still displaced and are not as close as they would like to be. And so a lot of families are triggered just by that, and they don't have grandmother around. Mom is not here. And so for a lot of that, we help fill that void as much as we can by letting them know that we are here to help you. You know, if you feel like you just need to talk or you need to vent about something, or the holiday wasn't as great for your kids because you wasn't able to provide, we understand that unfortunately things do happen, but you have to survive after the holiday, and that as long as you have your family and you have support, then sometimes that's enough. That's a gift in itself.
And that's what I was going to ask. How do you I guess you have to try to find the good things there, because sometimes when we just start to get the blues, we just start to feel down, we can't see the good things we still have in life.
Right. And for us, we try to relate ourselves to our clients, and that let them know that we're not just your counselor, we're people too who go through things. And so we want you to understand that it's not all on you. You don't have to face your problems by yourself. And sometimes my situation will let them see that, okay, you got through that, and so we can get through this as well.
So you're very approachable, very relatable.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know, we're talking about family, and this is the perfect time, Patrick, Alex, to turn to both of you, because NOLA Dads was a new program that you started this year, and it's just amazing what you're trying to do. And Patrick, if I can call upon you first just to give a little background and let people know, because it's something they need to know for now, for the new year, hey, forever.
The NOLA Dads program is a new program in the city. We provide parenting and mentoring services for young males in the city, ages 16 to 24, but it's not closed off to that range. We take fathers of any age, or people who play the father role in anyone's life, or just anyone who needs some type of mentoring or counseling, far as from the male point of view.
And how did this come about? Is it because something that you've felt a great need for or had a personal stake in?
Well, when I got hired with Family Services, I believed in what they had going on so much. It was a pleasure to get hired with the company and to be able to provide these services in my community. I mean, I grew up here myself, and I think it was something that was definitely needed. So, I mean, I remember my first class, one of the guys came to me after and said, nobody ever asked me how did I feel as a man in my life. And I thought that was profound, because everything is geared towards women in our community, but, you know, nothing's geared towards men. We're kind of thrown to the wolves when it comes to support groups and things of that nature.
Now, you think that's also, is that something, because sometimes we hear that it's difficult, as we talked earlier about, to take that first step, to reach out, to ask for help. Is that also because it's more difficult for men to do that? So maybe consequently, if you don't see enough wanting to come forward, you're not providing perhaps the service?
Yeah, we're kind of taught to have that male bravado, like I'm weak or I'm soft if I don't come forward, and if I come forward, then ask for help. But that's not the case. Everybody needs help in some form or fashion. It doesn't make you weak. It just makes you stronger, actually. And
I think that's the whole point, and especially when you're dealing with, when you say NOLA dads, it's often, don't you have many of the men that you work with who may not see their children as much as they'd like, but want to be better fathers?
Yeah, definitely. The kids in our group, or the men in our group, they definitely want to change the culture of parenting from a male point of view in the city of New Orleans. So that's why they're taking that step forward, because they know there's a change that needs to be made in the community, and a change that needs to be made in their life to better their kids in the community.
And Alex, then how does your role fit in with NOLA Dads?
Yeah, so I'm the program manager, and Patrick runs all the groups, and he does it at different agencies and a lot of schools. And then I work with the dads one-on-one because there's some stuff that they can't discuss in group, or I help them. One of my clients, we actually helped him get back into high school. He hadn't been in school for a while, but he knew that he wanted a high school diploma. So we worked together, we filled out an application, I went with him to the school, and he's doing really well. And it's just trying to offer that extra support that they might not get from family members or the mother of their children.
And here it is, this opportunity literally for a brighter future, a brighter tomorrow. It starts today when you can get in touch with Family Service of Greater New Orleans. Dave, please give the number again. Give a website, because there are so many opportunities to get the kind of help. And as Patrick, as you said, it's not weak to call. It makes you strong. You're strong because you took that opportunity to reach out and to acknowledge that you needed someone just to help you over this rough spot.
Great. Yeah. Our phone number is 504-822-0800. Please give us a call if you feel the need for additional support, and maybe you don't feel as if you fit specifically into any of the programs that we discussed, but we will find a way to provide some sort of help. Being a partner of United Way of Southeast Louisiana, we're able to tailor our programs to meet the needs of whatever individuals or families come through our doors. And if you're a little hesitant to give us a call, you could always check out our website at www.fsgno.org, and that's F as in family, S as in service, GNO.org.
And what's so nice about it is that it's always confidential.
Absolutely.
And that's it, too. Now, I can always remember my grandmother saying, I don't want anybody knowing my business. And, okay, we're not going to ask. We just want you to know that you're there for them.
Definitely. And, and I think Patrick and Alex hit on it a little bit, that sometimes reaching out to the community can be challenging, and getting clients to come through the door who we know could really benefit from some of our services. And working with our young men in the Greater New Orleans area can be especially challenging. We're really trying to reach out to our neighbors in the Holly Grove neighborhood to see if we could challenge some of the young men there to get some more support and education for parenting and being a responsible and involved father. So that's one of the neighborhoods that we're really focused on trying to assist a little bit more.
I was going to say, we often talk about how children are our focus and our future, but sometimes it will be difficult for them to have that future unless it begins at home. Correct, Patrick?
Yes, that is true. Once you build a foundation at home, you can send your kids out in the community, and they can make a difference in other people's lives also. Home is the foundation for everything. I wouldn't be here, or any of us wouldn't be here if we wouldn't have the proper foundation at home to even give back to help others. So I think it's very, very important.
And that's what we're talking about here. A lot of, as you said, Dave, young men who just don't have the opportunity, and perhaps, even though, yes, it has been 8 years since, quote, the storm, many young men came back from wherever they had evacuated to alone. Again, we keep talking about support systems, but friends, as they move, they go back and forth. You go to neighborhoods that really don't exist, don't have that fabric that you once had where everybody knew everybody. And someone could sit on the front porch and knew your mama, could say something if somebody saw something. It's just not there. And so sometimes you can feel very much alone, and it can be very figurative or it can be very real.
Yeah, a lot of those feelings, again, are just, they're very normal and very natural to have. And I think as long as we're aware that we might feel that way during this time of year. Maybe if something has changed, and we expect that during the holiday season we might feel a little bit lonelier than we have previously, or maybe some additional sadness. Just acknowledge that that's there, and that's normal, and it's okay. And if you need additional support to deal with it, you could give us a call, or you could rely on maybe a family member or a friend, or reach out to new networks of friends to receive the support that you need. But we're always here to help if needed.
And is that what it's about? Ethel, I want to kind of ask you, because when we talked earlier about the use of drugs, alcohol, that kind of thing, sometimes people, as you said, we reach to it because it's part of our culture. It's celebratory. Oh, let's have a glass of something. Mm-hmm. But again, drugs, not so good. But sometimes when we're talking about painkillers, and I mean that it can be a euphemism too, because you're doing something and it really is to quell that pain that you feel, that ache in your heart. But what are some of the signs or symptoms that perhaps you're having one too many glasses, or that you're doing things you shouldn't have? What is something that people or family or friends need to be aware of?
Well, some of the things that they should be aware of is the one thing that comes up all the time is the culture of our city. We live in a city that celebrates everything, and that's just a part of who we are. But when the celebration goes a little too far, or clients often speak of, this is a city where there's a store on every corner almost, and you can walk into a corner store and buy a bottle of wine or a bottle of liquor to begin your celebration. It's everywhere. So being aware of the fact that that's only one part of what the lifestyle here is about, but it doesn't need to get to be what controls your life. Having one drink may be okay, but it's not okay for that person that has a problem with it. There has to be a stopping point, and a person needs to be aware of what the limits are and how they can learn to control that. And that's some of what we do with providing the treatment through drug court. To piggyback on what Patrick has been speaking of, we do have NOLA Dads as a part of a service for drug court, and it's been very beneficial to the clients that we serve. A lot of times they aren't going to be able to go out and seek additional help, but it's a part of our program. It's offered. And so for those that have been taking advantage of it, it's been very beneficial. I get feedback from the clients very often about how much they're enjoying those groups and what it has meant to them to look at parenting in a different way and to examine some of the issues that young men are going through as dads, or just needing a mentor, having someone that they can talk to during those difficult times about, what's the right way to parent a son, or what's the right way to parent a daughter, and how does a family really provide that basis, what it really means to them to have that support along with the substance abuse treatment that we provide in our program.
And I was going to say, and Kizana, maybe this is a question for you, and playing off now what Ethel's just said, if you realize that you have a problem, and whether it be alcohol, whether it be drugs, a lot of it, isn't it? It's changing your behavior, learning to change through the kind of therapy that you at Family Service of Greater New Orleans can provide. So, are there steps that you should take to I guess, stay out of temptation's way?
Yeah, definitely. It's funny that you say change, because in FFT, functional family therapy, we actually have one of our phases, it's behavior change. And so our clients who have reached that phase at this point are learning how to change certain behaviors, how to modify certain behaviors, and other key family members are there to help them stay on track and not relapse into situations such as drugs or anger or violence, whatever that situation may be. And so what we do is we try to teach our families to acknowledge what you're going through and then put in a plan, put something in place where if it's a son who is having an issue drinking and you see him maybe having one too many, who's going to be that person to say, hey, let me talk to you, let me pull you on the side? Always have some type of plan in place before it gets to that point. So we always teach our families to be proactive versus being reactive. It's always better to have some sort of plan in place.
And you just touched upon something right there, domestic violence or violence of any sort. Because again, whether it's a holiday or not, but depression or substance abuse or anytime, it can set someone off. And we have heard for quite a long time now that, again, perhaps you're out of a job, perhaps things are not the way you'd like them to be, and things can escalate that way emotionally too, that the way you get it out is through anger and through violence.
Yeah, surely. And so that's why we want to take the time out before the holidays to try to discuss with our families the things that you feel are going to be problems for you during the season. Dad doesn't have a job, so let's sit around. Let's actually talk about that. Let's talk about that elephant in the room and how it's going to make each of us feel around the holiday time. So that way when Christmas comes, no one is surprised. We all know what the day is going to look like, but then we can make other memories by, let's say, can we go by grandmother's house? Can we just get out the house and go do something, and let them know that you can rediscover any holiday in your own way, because your family is your family and it's what you make it. And so not to harp on the things that you can't change in the moment, but making the best of the situation.
And is that also kind of prepping children? I know there can be a certain age where you're not going to understand that Santa can't leave as many toys beneath the tree if you have a tree. But at least talking to your kids and trying to kind of make them understand that, again, playing off what you've just said, that things might be a little different this year.
Yeah. I think a lot of times the parents of the kids make it harder for themselves. The kids actually, of course, a kid wants many presents under the Christmas tree, but I think the parents are the ones who put more pressure on themselves. And I think when they understand that you don't have to do everything, you can't provide everything, and you want to instill in your kids more values about Christmas, because it's not all about the gifts. And so teaching them stories about what Christmas is really about for your family, whatever that may mean, and so that it doesn't always have to come down to how many presents I receive, but more about the value of my family spending time together. You're making it something totally different versus the presents. It's all about the presents. And so I tell my families, don't put yourself in such a situation where you're going to come out feeling bad. Handle it in the beginning so that you won't end up that way.
And in the same way, a little bit talking about the new year, now that it's, here almost, because people often use that as a starting point to say, okay, we're going to begin anew, a new year. Let's start again. Let's find the good things. Let's move forward. But is that sometimes, unfortunately, again, easier said than done? Is that something, and Alex, I'm thinking maybe you could weigh in by working with the NOLA dads and the clients, trying to, again, help them find that something to grasp onto that, they're going to get through this. They're going to be stronger. They're going to be better.
Sorry, absolutely. So a lot of times when we work with the clients one-on-one, we have them make SMART goals. So it's specific, measurable, attainable. What is R? Realistic, and then time appropriate. So you're able to attain it. It's very specific. You know what you're looking for, whether it's I want to find a new job or I want to get a driver's license. And so that they know that they have this ability to set a goal and achieve it.
Is it something that they can do, so then they're not going to get knocked back down again if they can? This is kind of building up their confidence and climbing that ladder to success in a very real way.
Absolutely. And we've noticed that with our dads. A lot of them don't quite understand what a goal is or how to set a goal, or no one's ever asked them, like, what is your end goal? And so we're working with them to better understand it and figure out how to change their behaviors and their life choices to become better fathers and better men in the community.
I tell you what, folks, we've got just a couple minutes left. I mean, we really have to be fast, but I'd like to start around the room. Patrick, just everybody say a quick few seconds. What do you wish for this new year? What do you wish for 2014? Come on, Patrick.
I wish for some of the violence in the city to stop and everybody come together in the community.
Alex.
And Patrick took mine. I want the violence to stop as well.
Ethel.
And that was mine as well.
I think we're all agreed on that.
Just to have people consider others, think about others, treat people the way you want to be treated.
It's the golden rule.
Yes.
Cassandra?
For me, again, the violence in the city, but also for families to actually start being families. Again, like we previously said before, the foundation starts at home, and so teach your kids, get to know them, be around them more so that they can understand that mom isn't just at work, but mom is also very available in the home. And so for me, it's actually getting back to a true family.
And Dave, just a few seconds here, take us out,
Sure.
perhaps a phone number again or a website, because Family Service of Greater New Orleans is always here for you.
Definitely. And you can give us a call at 504-822-0800 or visit us at www.fsgno.org.
Family Service of Greater New Orleans, one of United Way of Southeast Louisiana's community impact partners or partner agencies. I want to thank y'all for joining us today. Dave Hanick, who's the Vice President of Programs of Family Service of GNO. Kazonda Lucas, who is the Functional Family Therapy Program Manager. Ethel Hill, who is the Drug Court Program Manager. Alex Ternowski, who is NOLA Dads Program Manager. And Patrick Carter, who is the NOLA Dads Group Facilitator. I'm Terry Westerfield. And for United Way, everybody join me. Let's live united.